one of the questions that I ask myself is that why is it so hard for people to make a decision, right? And because decision making should be simple, shouldn't it? It should be just a matter of saying, oh, what do you want to do? Do you want A or B? I want A, or I want B. But there's a certain point where there's an emotional attachment to making a decision, which makes it more difficult for people to make a decision easily. Now, it shouldn't be, but what happens is when you get emotions tied into making decisions, then things get complicated. And first of all, I thought there's two different aspects that affect why it's so hard for people to make decisions. But the more I thought about it, there's actually a lot more to it as well. So I started looking at these first two decisions, first of all, and the first one comes from the three minds. This comes from Kundalini Yoga, which is that everybody has a negative mind, a positive mind, and a neutral mind. And whenever it comes to making decisions, the negative mind always reacts first. Why? Because the negative mind keeps you safe. Like, let's say you're about to cross a road. Let's take it simply. You're about to cross a road, there's a car coming. Well, if the positive mind reacted first, say, oh, you should cross the road, then you get hit by a car. So the negative mind has to come up and says, hold on, wait, is it safe? Hold on, wait. Is the car close enough? Is it far away? We need to keep you safe. So the negative mind always comes out first to give you that warning, to give you that prep, says, is it safe to actually cross right now? And once the negative mind has been given attention, then the positive mind gets a chance to express itself, which is, well, I know it's dangerous crossing the road, the cars are going very fast, but what if I get to the other side? What would that mean? I could go to that shop, or I could do whatever I want to do, because I get to the other side, there's opportunities available to me. So then the positive mind gets attention after the negative mind. But for some people, they have learned how to become positive. I don't know if you've come across a group called the Yes Group, and they just say yes to everything, which is really funny because it's the perfect place for people selling, programs. They go in and says, you have to say yes to everything. Would you like my program? Yes. Okay. I see how that works. So it's a bit scammy. But the idea is that if you teach people to be more positive, they'll see more opportunities. But what I found is that if you over-index on positivity, you get this like positive mental attitude. You hear about a lot in like the American sort of motivational speakers. They go talk about positive mental attitude. So if you're too positive, if you over-index on positivity, what happens is you actually mask negativity. So while it sounds really positive on the surface, when you dig deeper, you find there's actually a lot of negativity there, which is really the negative mind being masked. So people who are overly positive usually are masking the negative mind. They're skipping the negative mind, and they take much bigger risks than they should, which is actually dangerous. So we've got the negative mind and we've got the positive mind, but then there's the neutral mind, which is a kind of a balancing equation that automatically happens at the unconscious level, which does kind of a cost benefit analysis, a risk versus benefits. So here's the negative mind risks, here's the positive mind benefits. Now together, what's the best course of action to go forward? Most people never get to exercising the neutral mind because they're not neutral. They're over-indexed on positivity or negativity. They're a glass half empty person or the glass half full person. Where very few people are saying, is there a more effective vessel than a glass to carry water from the well to wherever you want to bring it to? And that's one of the things that yoga and meditation taught me, is being able to balance that negative and the positive mind so that you're operating from that neutral mind instead. You're operating from the place where you have an automatic ability to assess the risk-benefit analysis of any situation without thinking about it consciously. It's just like, okay, they've settled now and this is positive, or they're settled now or this is risky, and being able to make a decision that way. So I think one of the reasons it's hard for people to make decisions is because they're leaning into negativity too much, or they're leaning into positivity too much, and they're not being neutral. They're not doing a balanced perspective of the risk-benefit analysis of the situation that they want to make a decision on. So that's one thing, and that comes more from yoga, meditation, and the three minds than it does from NLP, personal development. But the second one is the 4 arms of failure, which I talk about a lot in our NLP training. And the 4 arms of failure are delays, denials, doubts and distractions. And I think these are all these fit into what I call, well, it's not what I call it, but it's called the hero's journey. So if you're into archetypes and Carl Jung, you might have come across the hero's journey. And the hero's journey really is about somebody who has got, life is normal, they're in the comfort zone, everything's just fine, and then something happens and they go on a new adventure, they go on the journey of the hero. And what happens on the journey of the hero, the first stage is that they deny the journey actually exists. So they refuse the calling. The way I like to think about it is that when you're doing something for a certain length of time, you get used to it, then there's something needs to break the mold. Something needs to break that normacy, because otherwise your life becomes very boring, very predictable, and your whole life, you're not reaching into your fullest potential. So what will happen is you'll get an opportunity in life, you get a calling to do something or to be someone or to go somewhere. But quite often what happens for people in the beginning is they deny they have a calling. They say, no, that's just, and you'll see it where people say, this thing keeps coming up for me again and again and again. And that's the calling of nature saying there's a journey waiting for you to go on. But they deny the journey because they know this is not for me, or this is not my calling, or whatever else. And what happens is the more they deny it, the more the universe pushes against them until eventually they wake up and say, I need to do this. Now, when people make the decision then to go on the journey, they still don't go on the journey. So what happens is they start delaying. Says, okay, I'm not ready yet. I have to prepare. I have to get ready before I go on the journey. I have to get everything packed, to get everything ready. And this is the perfectionist aspect of the unconscious mind, where they want to become perfect. I can't do it till everything's perfect. I've got all planned out. I've got all my dominoes lined up. And then when I've got everything ready, then I'll start the journey. And of course, the truth is that we're never ready. You always need to start before you're ready. Everything that's important in your life, everything that's exciting in your life, everything that's valuable in your life happens because you start before you're ready. You jump in feet first. I mean, try to learn how to swim by being ready. You can never be ready to swim. You can lie on a couch and you can flap your arms all you want, but you're never actually going to learn how to swim until you actually jump into the water, and the water is deep enough that you have to learn how to swim, right? And there's things you can do to prep, but you're never ready. At some stage you just got to jump in and you got to go all in and make it happen. So the delay part of the process is where people are looking for perfectionism and actually making the right decision. And then the next one then is the doubts. Now the thing is, people will always have doubts, and the thing that clears doubts is actually having certainty. The opposite of doubts is certainty. And the thing that helps people with certainty is their ability to actually have a clear picture of the outcome that they want, which is really about gathering information. So if somebody has doubts, usually those doubts come from the fact that they don't have clarity, focus and direction about the journey they're on. Now sometimes you won't have clarity and focus and direction, so you have to make that clarity and focus and direction happen by actually imagining or dreaming. It's like, what would it be like? The what if question. What if this was to work out? What if you did have the freedom to do what you want to do? What if you did have control to make choices in your life? What if you did have the house you're looking for, the relationship you're looking for, the job you're looking for? What would that look like? And immersing yourself in the experience of what that would look like, what that would feel like, what that would sound like, what would that be like if you had that outcome today. And that's what creates the certainty. It's having a clear vision about what you want to do. And the other arm of the forms of failure is the distraction. Now the distraction is a very interesting one, because it's like the delay, but it's different. Because distraction is saying, okay, I know I'm going on the journey. I've made the decision going on the journey, but I have to do all these things first. So it's what I call shaving a yak. Have you ever shaved a yak? Probably not. So the yak shavings are all the things you have to do before you do the things you have to do, right? So a lot of people tell you, I want to do this. There's one thing I have to do, but before I do this, I have to do this and I have to do this. And what happens is they build a list of all the yak shavings, the things that they're in the way between the things they want to do before they do the things you have to do. And quite honestly, usually all the things that you have to do before the things you actually want to do are just distractions, and you probably find that you never had to do them in the first place, right? But when you focus on the one thing, and you just do that, then all these other things become unimportant and you can focus on the one thing. So what it means is that people delay getting started because they're perfectionists. They distract themselves because they've got other things they have to do first, which is a form of preparation. They have doubts about starting on the journey because they haven't contemplated the outcome, the vision, or they deny the journey exists in the first place and they get stuck. But once people actually deal with these 4 aspects, and they actually start before they're ready, they've got a clear outcome, they focus on the one thing, and they believe in themselves, and they believe that the journey, the calling is for them, then they can make a decision very, very easily, and that's when the journey really starts. So that's why I think it's hard for people to make a decision, is because first of all, they're not operating from a neutral mind, and second of all, they're falling into the 4 arms of failure, and that keeps them where they're at. And of course, the problem with the 4 arms of failure is that if you actually accept the four Ds, the 4 arms of failure, the delays, the denies, the doubts, and the distractions, what happens is the calling of the universe gets louder, and things start to get worse, things start to get more chaotic, because the universe will keep calling you. And this comes from the archetypes as well, the archetypes of the creator and the destroyer energy. So if you want to create something new, if you want to create something new and beautiful and fantastic in your life, you have to destroy, you have to let go of something that you already have. But if you try to create something new without creating space and letting go of the old, then what happens is your life becomes too full, and the universe will take the old away from you. It will actually take it from you, so then you're left sitting saying, what the hell happened? And that's what happens when people spend too much time focusing on the 4 Ds, spend too much time trying to perfect before they get started, before they keep getting distracted, they doubt their own calling, or they deny the calling is even there. And what happens is they fall into what's called the valley of despair. And then they have to make the decision. Things become so bad, they say, okay, I need to change. I need to do today. I can't live like this anymore. Something has to change. And that's when they have this epiphany. That's when they have this turning point, and they start on the journey, and they walk that path, they talk the path, they become that path, and then they get the success they're actually looking for.